In this section, I'm going to discuss the specific requirements of the exchange application in more detail. First, the questionnaires. The main questionnaire is the exchange application form. This is where you'll indicate which exchange programs you're considering. We have a space for you to give us up to 3 programs that you're interested in, and we also have an additional question that asks you if you're interested in considering other programs as well. So if you select yes to that question, you'll be given a text box where you can give us as much or as little information as you want. Some students enter in the names of other universities they're interested in, or others give us something more general like all institutions in Asia or any university in France, Germany, or the United Kingdom. It's up to you. This is really just a space for you to let us know which programs or what type of program you would be interested in, just in case we can't place you in any of your top 3 choices. This is also where you will write your statement of purpose or your essay. Now, there are 3 essay prompts that you need to write about. The first one is where you want to go and why. The second one is the contribution of an exchange program to your academic and career goals. And the third one is the benefit to UT Dallas, or how will you contribute to the UT Dallas community when you return. Now, the essay box will hold about 4,000 characters, which is around 500 to 600 words. I recommend typing your essay in Microsoft Word or a similar application first so that you can keep an eye on your character count. That essay box will only accept 4,000 characters. So if you write an essay that's longer, it will just cut off your essay as you reach 4,000 characters and erase everything else after that. So make sure you keep an eye on that character count. This is also where you will upload your unofficial transcript. Now, we want to make sure that this is the most accurate transcript you will have before the application deadline. So if you're applying in the middle of a semester and you know that that semester's grades will be posted before the application deadline, make sure you wait until those grades are posted. Like I said, we want this to be the most accurate academic record for you at UT Dallas, because this is often what we share with our host institution when we nominate you. So we want to make sure that they have the most updated and accurate information when they're reviewing your nomination. The application also requires an academic advisor recommendation. Your advisor is going to essentially evaluate the applicability of an exchange program toward your degree. And I'll be giving you some more specifics in just a minute on the next slide. Now, JSOM students, students whose major falls within the School of Management, you're actually going to send this academic advisor request not to your academic advisor, but to the JSOM Study Abroad office. So you'll need to send it to the email address I've listed here, jsomabroad@utdallas.edu. You'll send the recommendation through the Comments Abroad portal. And when you click Request Recommendation, it will give you a form where you can enter in your advisor's first name, last name, and email address. That will automatically send them an email that includes a link to your recommendation form. I do recommend letting your advisor know that this recommendation request is coming because sometimes the email can look a little bit like spam. So it's best if they're notified beforehand to expect the recommendation request in their email inbox. So what exactly are we asking your academic advisor in that recommendation form? Well, we're asking them these exact questions. We're asking them, how many credit hours have you completed towards your degree? And based on your degree plan, what requirements do you still need to complete? Do you need elective credit? Do you need major related credit? Do you need major elective credit, minor credit? What course options are open to you when you study abroad? They also have a text box to give us any comments on your degree plan. If they have any specific courses or types of courses that they think you should be looking for, if they have any concerns about academic policies, this is where they can give us that information. And then they have an optional text box where they can give us additional comments to consider. Now, this is optional because we understand that academic advisors are working with a lot of students, and they may not know you very well to be able to give you an official personal recommendation. So this is optional. They do not have to provide a personal recommendation if they don't have enough information about you to do that. It won't hurt your application if this text box is left blank. Overall, we're really just asking them to give us some insight into your degree plan and the progress that you've made so far. So let's talk about the essay. Now, I mentioned there are 3 prompts. The first prompt, where you want to go and why, is pretty straightforward, and students typically don't have any issues answering that question. A lot of times there's something about that location or that specific university that's really motivating them to study abroad. So responding to that question seems to come pretty naturally. If you do have questions about that one though, feel free to contact me, but I haven't included any specific examples in this presentation because, as I mentioned, most students don't have much difficulty answering it. The second question, what is the impact of an exchange program on your academic and career goals, can be a little bit more challenging, so I want to provide some examples just to get you thinking of the possibilities. Now, I understand I was a college student at one point and I didn't know where my career was going. So I understand why this question may be challenging, but we do want you to think about the long-term impact of participating in an exchange program. So I've picked out a couple of examples from previous essays that I want to share with you just to get you thinking. The first one is about the importance of studying abroad towards gaining language proficiency. Studying abroad is an excellent opportunity for you to immerse yourself in another language, whether you know a little bit of that language already or not. It's an amazing way to learn a language. In this student's case, she was pre-med and she thought that gaining language proficiency would really help her to better communicate with her future patients and their families when she was a doctor. This outcome can actually apply to many different fields, many different industries. In the global society and global economy that we currently live in, many of the jobs that we will have are going to be multicultural in nature. And so being able to speak another language, even just conversationally, is actually very valuable in many different careers. Other students have talked about the importance of immersing themselves in another culture. This particular student talked about how being able to communicate across cultures would be really important for them when they attended business meetings with international partners. And they thought they'd be better able to present themselves and relate to those international partners because they would have intercultural communication skills that they gained while studying abroad. Another student also talked about immersing themselves in a different culture and how they would be better able to make marketing campaigns for a diverse clientele. And one thing I talked about earlier was being able to take different courses. Now that does enrich your academic experience at UT Dallas, but in this case, a couple of students have talked about how taking different courses would let them explore a completely different career path than they could at UT Dallas alone. For example, I've had a student that was focused on historical studies at UT Dallas that really wanted to look more into archaeology, and they didn't really have the opportunity to do that. So they chose an exchange program that had a strong archaeology department so they could explore that career path. I've also seen the same thing with students in biology who want to explore the possibility of entering a career in marine biology, but couldn't really take any courses related to that topic at UT Dallas. So they found an exchange program that had a marine biology department so they could take some courses and explore that possible career path. And this could be applied to many different possible career paths as well. So these aren't the only career outcomes. There are obviously many more, but this is just to get you thinking of different ideas for how an exchange program could impact you long term. The third question is, what is the benefit to UT Dallas, or how will you contribute to the UT Dallas community when you return? The most common response that I get to this question is, well, I'll tell my friends all about study abroad and get them interested in it. That's a great idea, and I do hope that you do that when you return. But we hope that you'll come up with something a little bit more creative that can have a more powerful impact across campus. These are just some ideas that students have had in the past. Hosting an informational meeting for a student organization or a specific academic department on campus to talk about study abroad and to talk about their experience. We've also had students talk about how they'll bring the new perspectives that they learn abroad into classroom discussions, and so that will benefit UT Dallas students who maybe can't or don't even know that they can study abroad. If you don't know already, our campus is very multicultural. Out of our student population, about 25% are international students. So there are plenty of opportunities to engage in cultural learning, even just on campus. And some students have said, well, when I study abroad, I'll be an international student on another campus. And when I come back, I'll be better able to support the international students that we have on our campus because I'll know what they're going through. And so we've had students say that they will become buddies for international students or participate in iFriend, which is a buddy program on campus to better support international students and help them get acclimated to the UT Dallas campus. Other students have talked about ideas they have for helping study abroad have a bigger presence at freshman orientations, hosting application workshops or student panels, so that UT Dallas students can get to know what the application process is like and what to expect, and to gain support from their peers throughout the process. We've had students create vlogs before to showcase their experience at specific universities or in specific cities, which is a really valuable resource for future students because they can then actually see what that experience is like. And finally, some students have talked about hosting peer advising sessions for students in their major who may be underrepresented in the study abroad population. And that would get them excited about study abroad and see that study abroad is actually a possibility for them. So again, lots of different essay examples. Those are just some ideas to get you thinking about the possibilities. Now, after the deadline, I talked about we review for eligibility, we make sure the applications are complete, and then we start reviewing your application responses. We also look to see how many exchange spaces we have at each program for that semester, and that's based on a couple of factors. The first thing we look at is our historical balance with that host institution. So overall, how many students have we sent there throughout the years, and how many students have they sent to UT Dallas? So what's our overall balance? Have we sent more students than they've sent us, or vice versa? Then we look at how many students the host institution is willing to accept. Some are willing to accept more students than maybe our balance would suggest. So what is their capacity for the number of students they can accept for that semester? So we come up with a total number per institution, and that can really vary. I've seen as many as 12 UT Dallas students go to the same exchange program in one semester. That's pretty rare, but it has happened. Most times we're able to send anywhere between 2 to 5 students per semester to each exchange program. Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the factors I just talked about. So once we know how many spaces we have, we start placing students based on their top choices, and we look at a few things. I mentioned that we prioritize academics, so we look at the applicability of that program on their degree progress. Will they be able to find the courses that they want or need at their top choice institutions? We also look at the impact on their career and life goals. That really shines through in your essay. So your essay is an excellent space for you to make a compelling case for why you should be chosen for that particular university or a university in a specific city or country if that's what's motivating you to study abroad. We also consider maturity and preparedness. That comes through in your essay and also in any meetings we may have had with you. And we do give preference to first-time applicants. What this means is if you've studied abroad on exchange in the past, we do give priority to students who haven't had that opportunity yet. This does not mean that if you opened an application in a previous application cycle and you just let it sit, you didn't complete it, so it was either rejected or you withdrew it. That's not what this means. This means if you've actually studied abroad already on exchange, we give priority to those who haven't yet had that opportunity. And then we start placing students based on those considerations. We try to place as many students in their top choice as we possibly can. And if we don't have room in your first choice, we then consider you for your second choice. If there's room, then great. If there's not, then we consider you for your third choice. And if for some reason we're not able to place you in any of your top 3 choices, then we look at the other options you've given us in the application. That's why it's important to give us some information so that that can guide our program determination for you. Now, we haven't gotten to the point where we have so many applicants and not enough spaces anywhere. We may run out of spaces at a particular university, but we're typically able to find space for everybody somewhere, whether it's in your top choice institution or not. So if you're not chosen for any of your top 3 choices, we'll offer you a spot somewhere else, and at that point, you can learn more about that program and either accept that spot or decline it. So here's the overall timeline to expect and the different steps along the way. First is the application deadline. For fall exchange programs, that deadline is February 15th. And for spring exchange programs, that application deadline is August 15th. After that deadline, we enter the application review period, which typically lasts, like I said, about 3 to 4 weeks. After that period, we start contacting students via email to let them know what program they've been chosen for. For fall programs, that email is typically sent in early to mid-March, and for spring programs, that email is typically sent in early to mid-September. Then, after we collect everybody's responses, we start nominating to the host institution. And then the host institution contacts each student directly with the next steps, including information that they need from you in order to create a student account for you at that institution, how to apply for housing, and any other steps that you need to take to prepare for your exchange semester there. Now, keep in mind that every institution will be on a different timeline. So if you have friends who are applying to study abroad and you've been chosen for different institutions and they've already heard from theirs and you haven't heard from yours, that's probably fine. Each institution is going to do things a little bit differently. Some will send an email automatically right after I nominate students, and others will wait until a particular date has passed and then contact all nominees together. So it really just varies by program when you'll hear from your host institution. Some hear right away, and others don't hear for maybe 1 or 2 months. Then you'll arrange your travel details. You'll arrange your housing either through your host institution or through housing providers that they recommend. You'll apply for a passport if you don't have one already, or you'll renew your passport if it's going to expire soon. And many of you will also need to apply for a student visa in order to legally enter your host country for the period of time that you'll be there. And you'll also arrange your own flights. I get that question a lot. Do I book flights for students? No, I don't. You'll book your own flight based on the airline you want to fly with, when you want to arrive, perhaps early so you can explore, or maybe you want to stay later after the end of your program. And you'll also have different options as far as how many layovers you have and if it's a direct flight, which may be more expensive. So those decisions are going to be up to you. As long as you arrive when the host institution says you need to arrive and you stay until they say you need to stay, the rest of your flight details are going to be up to you. You'll also be submitting a course pre-approval form to me about 1 to 2 months before your exchange semester begins. This is where you're going to propose the courses that you plan to take at your host institution, and we'll get them reviewed and evaluated by the appropriate people on campus so that you know how those courses are likely to transfer back at the end of your program. Also, about 1 to 2 months before you leave, you'll attend a pre-departure orientation, which is a session where we cover information on health and safety, about how to mitigate risk when you're abroad, what to do in case of an emergency, the insurance benefits that you'll have when you're abroad, and then how to adjust to a new culture. So this is just a quick run through of the timeline to expect moving forward.